having 1,000 people, 1,000 raving fans, or 1,000 of the right people on your list can oftentimes make you more money than if you have 100,000 people of so-so people on your list.
You got to build up that relationship with your list before you could just jump in and just think that they're all going to just suddenly start converting.
If people aren't buying from you, they're costing you money.
The subscription market is predicted to grow to nearly $500 billion by 2025. As a fast-growing area in commerce, subscriptions hold tremendous opportunity to build a community of customers who share your values. Recharge is the leading subscription management solution helping e-commerce merchants of all sizes launch and scale subscription offerings. Recharge powers the growth for over 15,000 subscription merchants and their communities, turning one-time transactions into long-term customer relationships. Whether you're a direct-to-consumer business or an omni-channel brand, subscriptions strengthen your brand's relationship with your customers and makes it easy for consumers to make repeat purchases. With subscriptions, merchants are able to experience predictable revenue, increased customer loyalty, and higher average order values. Turn transactions into relationships and experience seamless subscription commerce with Recharge. Get started today with a subscriptions payment solution trusted by over 50 million subscribers worldwide by heading over to rechargepayments.com/uncensored. Ever wonder how those e-commerce brands you admire do it? How they know just the right message to send to the right people at the right time? Guess what? It's not experience. They have the right data and the right tools. They have Klaviyo. Klaviyo's data-driven marketing automation platform is sophisticated enough to power those legendary campaigns from the brands you admire, but they made it simple, easy, and fast enough for anyone to use. Klaviyo helps brands easily create personalized multi-channel marketing campaigns using your most powerful asset, your customers' data. Klaviyo integrates with all leading e-commerce platforms, helping you use your customer data in real time to send more relevant emails and SMS automations. Plus, building a marketing campaign is drag and drop easy. You can get started with your first campaign in under an hour and easily build from there with Klaviyo's best performing templates. Klaviyo gives you all the power of an enterprise marketing automation platform and none of the complexity, so you can compete with the big guys. No wonder more than 65,000 brands can't get enough. To get started with a free trial of Klaviyo, visit klaviyo.com/uncensored. That's KLAVIYO.com/uncensored. Recharge powers launch and scale as you admire, but they made it.
You're listening to E-Commerce Uncensored with Kevin Manel and Jason Caruso.
Hey everyone, and thank you for joining us on another episode of E-Commerce Uncensored. My name is Kevin Manel, and I'm here with
Jason Caruso.
Before we get started today, Jason, I want to mention our email service that we started up a couple weeks ago. If you're struggling with email, if you're not seeing the revenue come in like we talk about all the time, and you need some help with your flows, with your campaigns, engaging your list, which is something we're going to talk about today, then text the word email to 844-643-0745. You'll give us some more information about your business and what platforms you're using and things like that. And we'll see if we can help you out and if we're a good fit.
That's right, Kevin. So, Kevin, I have I've lately joined a lot of Facebook groups about course creation, right? Like we have the Journal of Wildlife Photography, which is a subscription business. We sell a course in that business. We have some other courses. And I'm always trying to get a pulse on what people are struggling with. And something that I'm seeing a lot is relates to like email lists, your email list, right? And a lot of people have been sucked into sort of the vanity stuff, right? Like, oh my God, like how many people do you have on your list? Or, oh my God, what's your open rate? And what's your click-through rate? And like, I see this all day, over and over and over again.
People think size matters, Jason. How can you blame them?
In this respect, Kevin, the truth is size does not matter.
That's right.
In fact,
Thank God for you.
yeah, that is a very, very good good thing for me. But that being said, I've recently I was listening to something from Ryan Lee, who I'm on his email list. He's not an e-com, but he's like an emailer. And he had somebody on there. He's promoting this product, and the guy said, look, 4% of everybody who sees your stuff will join your community.
Meaning they'll sign up for your list?
No, just join your community. Like they'll follow you on Facebook. They'll just join your ecosystem. Doesn't matter how, doesn't matter if it's email, doesn't matter if it's liking you on Facebook or interacting or engaging. It's just 4% of those people who see you will interact in some way with you, will join you in some way. And then 4% of those people will buy from you. Okay. So if we take those numbers and we kind of like apply it to email, it's pretty easy to see that most people on your list are not going to buy from you.
Right. It becomes like a numbers game. And when you talk about 4%, it gets kind of like discouraging. You're like, only 4%? Like, that's going to be tough. Like, how am I going to make that work?
Right. But that's where people think like, okay, let's build a gigantic list, and 4% of that gigantic list is a lot. So if you have 100,000 people on your list, you send out an email, and 4% of those people, well, it's actually 4% of the 4% of those people buy, right? That could be a big number with a big list. The problem is that if you don't have the right people on your list, right? Even if you have 100,000 people, that 4% of 4% or that 4% kind of, it can go to nothing. Almost.
So what you're saying is people when they see that, all they're doing is like, they're going to do whatever they can to just get as many people as they can on their email list, because then those numbers will work out.
Right. And in some respects, that is true. If you have 1 million people on there and 1% of those people on your list, if you have 1 million people on your list and 1% of those people buy, yeah, it's a big number. But most people don't have 1 million people on their list. Right. And most people, even our businesses, I mean, like we have 100,000 or 80,000 or 70, whatever it is right now. And then our other businesses may only have like 10,000 or 5,000 or 20,000 or whatever. But what's interesting is, and I don't know if this is like a market condition, if this is something that's sort of just happening over time, but people are not focusing enough on the quality of the list, right? Everybody wants the vanity number. Everybody wants the 100,000 person list. Everybody wants the 20 and 50% open rates and all these things. But the truth of the matter is, if you don't have a quality list, then all those numbers really are meaningless.
Yeah, I'm 100% guilty of falling into this trap, Jason. I do it all the time. Like, even when we meet new people and we look at we kind of look at their email list and we see these big numbers, we're like, oh, there's so much potential here. When there is, but it's a little bit, you got to build up that relationship with your list before you could just jump in and just think that they're all going to just suddenly start converting.
Right. Well, with that, and also like if you're selling basketballs and you got a bunch of hockey players on your list, or maybe, I mean, we have a client right now who sells baby stuff, and, she only sells stuff from like 0 to 2 years old. So if like you have a list of people who have 3-year-olds or 5-year-olds, it may not work as well. So you have to understand your list too. But I guess my point in this is having 1,000 people, 1,000 raving fans, or 1,000 of the right people on your list can oftentimes make you more money than if you have 100,000 people of so people on your list, right? And I think that's what the point is that, you know, we were running some Facebook ads for our webinar for one of the courses we have. And you were talking a lot about, oh, it's costing us $10 to get people to see the webinar. But what is that person, that $10 person, worth later?
Right. And I think that's the hardest part to come to grips with, is like, you have to see that through before you can really understand what that number means. And, you know, it starts with how are you attracting that person? What is your messaging like at the very beginning of their whole journey through that? You know, I think you got to think about that. Like you said earlier, I know it's an extreme example, but, you know, if you sell basketballs and then like having a lead magnet that's focused on golf or something like that, just so you can build up your list, be like, oh, they're athletes, they play a sport, so maybe down the line at some point they'll buy my basketballs. So I think it's really important to look at that starting point of how you're attracting the right person. I remember years ago when we first started, you know, working together, and we wanted to build our list, and we figured we just collect a bunch of people who were entrepreneurs or something like that. And I did that magic trick. You remember that?
Yeah, that stupid magic trick. Yeah.
That was one of like the first campaigns we ran each other for this podcast. And I did this silly magic trick with a little bit of marketing messaging in it. We were getting a ton of people like clicking through, but like, it was just like they were clicking through for no reason. So you have to look at that and be like, well, these people aren't interested in what I'm selling. It's just, they're just interested in like the content I'm maybe putting out at that time. The subscription market is predicted to grow to nearly $500 billion by 2025. As a fast-growing area in commerce, subscriptions hold tremendous opportunity to build a community of customers who share your values. Recharge is the leading subscription management solution helping e-commerce merchants of all sizes launch and scale subscription offerings. Recharge powers the growth for over 15,000 subscription merchants and their communities, turning one-time transactions into long-term customer relationships. Whether you're a direct-to-consumer business or an omni-channel brand, subscriptions strengthen your brand's relationship with your customers and makes it easy for consumers to make repeat purchases. With subscriptions, merchants are able to experience predictable revenue, increased customer loyalty, and higher average order values. Turn transactions into relationships and experience seamless subscription commerce with Recharge. Get started today with a subscriptions payment solution trusted by over 50 million subscribers worldwide by heading over to rechargepayments.com/uncensored. Ever wonder how those e-commerce brands you admire do it? How they know just the right message to send to the right people at the right time? Guess what? It's not experience. They have the right data and the right tools. They have Klaviyo. Klaviyo's data-driven marketing automation platform is sophisticated enough to power those legendary campaigns from the brands you admire, but they made it simple, easy, and fast enough for anyone to use. Klaviyo helps brands easily create personalized multi-channel marketing campaigns using your most powerful asset, your customers' data. Klaviyo integrates with all leading e-commerce platforms, helping you use your customer data in real time to send more relevant emails and SMS automations. Plus, building a marketing campaign is drag and drop easy. You can get started with your first campaign in under an hour and easily build from there with Klaviyo's best performing templates. Klaviyo gives you all the power of an enterprise marketing automation platform and none of the complexity, so you can compete with the big guys. No wonder more than 65,000 brands can't get enough. To get started with a free trial of Klaviyo, visit klaviyo.com/uncensored. That's KLAVIYO.com/uncensored.
Yeah, and also like you gotta like really be aware of, you know, I'm thinking about, we just spoke to a guy, you know, last week, and this is something that we haven't really talked much about, but we spoke to a prospect last week who texted us through this podcast, and the company is by all accounts a pretty known company. They sponsor some big sports events. But their online presence isn't as big as, let's just say, their offline presence, right?
Right.
And you have to sometimes think about those things, because if you're at a sporting event and your product is literally the only product there and people buy it, right? And then you collect their email addresses from that event, right? And you put them into your your email program or platform, sorry, and you start selling or trying to sell to them. Well, even though they bought your product, even though they consumed your product, it doesn't necessarily mean it was even their choice to do it, right? Because it was the only option. So those people, although they did consume your product, although they did use your product, it doesn't necessarily mean they're interested in your product, right? So you have to understand those things. You have to be able to differentiate that. You have to be able to say, like, look, how did I build this list? Also, you have to remember that it changes. Like things change over time. It's not, the market conditions are not always the same. For example, let's take toilet paper. Back during COVID, it was really easy to sell toilet paper. Well, try selling toilet paper to those same people today.
Yeah, and I think even though your point about collecting email addresses at the event is a good strategy to get people on your list, to get people who have tried your product, to build that up. I think it's a matter of evaluating those people that come in that way, right? And speaking
separating
to
them, keep them separate.
Like, those are the people I got from that event over there. I need to speak to them about events and maybe get them to go to another event or whatever it may be. But that part of the journey is also important. And then as you evaluate that, you can see how things work. Are they engaging with your list? Are they maybe adding things to the cart and not buying out? Are they getting to that point and evaluating whether or not that was a good strategy to begin with? And then you can, if it's not, you could start filtering some of those people out, or you could start to communicate with them a little bit differently, but keeping them engaged and building up that relationship is really important too.
Yeah. One thing I was thinking about, Kevin, the other day, or was it today, or I don't remember the day, but I was thinking about how back in the day, no one wanted to delete or purge any part of their list, right? Like, it was such a coveted thing. They spent money to get people on their list. I think today it makes a lot more sense to purge your list.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from like costs going up, if people aren't buying from you, they're costing you money. Now, if you are a big, if you are a big company that has a lot of money to just waste, it's a different story. That you're a different person, you're a different customer. Because look, Coca-Cola spends millions of dollars on marketing that doesn't bring in a return. So if you're Coca-Cola, which my guess is that you're not, but if you are, then yes, you could spend millions and millions of dollars on just getting the name out there. But if you're looking for a return, if you're a small business like we own, I think there is becoming more and more, there's an increasingly better argument for letting people go if they're not buying.
Yeah, I think that's something that we need to do too. I mean, we've held on to our list ourselves, and I think it's something that we need to for our online magazine. We've gotten so many people in, we've built our list so many different ways. It's time to start analyzing what those people are doing now. And like even our giveaway, even though that had helped our revenue, we built up our list a lot through our giveaways and things like that. We started to learn that maybe they weren't the best people. They were looking for giveaways. They weren't really interested in a long-term consumer relationship with us. So you got to really like just come to grips with the fact that some people are just like, freeloaders and you're just wasting your money pretty much.
Yeah. And keeping that list healthy does a lot of good things for you. Your open rates go up, right? Like your click-throughs go up. If the list is nice and clean of only people who are supposed to be there, you'll get better results. You'll see, I always laugh at people when they're like, well, I only have a 10% open rate. Like, okay, well, what if you segment the people who have opened up an email from you over the past 90 days and you sent them an email? I promise you the open rate would be much higher.
Yeah.
Right. It's just a matter of,
and it's a numbers game too, because we did it with one of our new clients, right? It's like, we did exactly what you said. I think it was over Memorial Day. It was like 180 days open. and the open rates were like 40%. And then the rest of the list who haven't opened, the open rates were like 1%, right? So what does it really matter, right? You're comparing 40% to 1%. So more people are seeing it on the other side anyway. So what's the difference? Get rid of them, let them go, or figure out why they're on your list to begin with and just kind of filter them out.
Yeah, I mean, like I see a lot of people doing this. We have not done this, but I've seen people like send you an email and say, "Look, I'm gonna remove you from my list. You don't seem like you're interested. Reply to this email if you want to stay on it."
Right.
So, I mean, there are ways, but I think the overarching message is that, look, a clean list, a list of people who should be on your list, a list of people who are your quote unquote dream client or customer. That's how you should be building your list. A lot of people these days are talking about building a list of buyers, and it's because buyers tend to buy, and people who aren't buyers tend to drag their feet. So, I could tell, or we could tell you guys firsthand, that the size of a list is not indicative of the amount of money you're going to make. So stop building your list just for the vanity number. Build it with people who are going to buy. And if they don't buy over X amount of time, for us, if somebody doesn't open in, I would say 6 months, Kev, we usually say, you know what? They're just not the right person. But it's so important because we get to see a lot of people's emails, and I can tell you that I see a lot of people that have built lists of people that are just people.
Yeah, and I wanted to mention one last thing too about that is like you talk about building lists of buyers, right? And I think that can start, and it's become more and more apparent that when you're running Facebook ads and you want to find a buyer, to use your objectives properly in Facebook, in your Facebook ads. So if you want to find a buyer, use purchase conversions. If you want to build your list to a huge list, you can use those lead conversions, which will build the list cheaper, but not necessarily get that buyer on your list. And that's becoming clearer and clearer to me. Use Facebook's algorithm. They know who's buying. They know who's interacting with e-commerce businesses who are actually buying online, and they'll help you bring in the right type of person.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously that's like granular, and that's actually a strategy, but that is definitely something that we have been doing more and more of, like ignoring people that don't buy and just trying to build it with people that do buy. Your cost of acquisition in that case will definitely go up, but it'll be a better person.
Yeah, your cost per email will go up for sure when you use that type of conversion in Facebook ads.
Right. And, just getting people on your list with a small sale. I don't mean like a 50% off sale. I mean like selling them something at like a lower price point could actually be like a really good way to kill two birds with one stone, right? Like you get someone who's actually buying on your list after they buy.
Right. Exactly.
So it's really important. I mean, I sometimes, Kev, we talk about things on here that I think are home runs and they're not. And then like we talk about things that like I feel like aren't home runs, and they tend to be home runs. In this case, I think that not enough people are talking about this. I think a lot of people are talking about the vanity numbers. I think a lot of people lure other people in by saying, I got 1 million people on my list. Like I'm seeing it in these groups all day. People are talking about, oh my God, I just hit 1,000 people on my list. Like, who gives a shit? Like, how many sales have you gotten?
Right.
That's all I care about. How many sales have you got?
Yeah.
Okay. None. Okay. You're not doing it right.
Right on, man.
So,
agreed. Yeah. All right, cool. Once again, you guys looking for help with your email campaigns, your flows, your overall email strategy, send us a text. Text the word email to 844-643-0745. We'll get back to you. We'll learn a little bit more about you, and we'll see if we can fit in with your company. Thank you guys so much for listening. As always, you can check us out at ecommerceuncensored.com, and we'll talk to you guys real soon.
Later. Rates go up, right? You know, if you're of only people, you'll get better
Which
results.
is the leading subscription management.
You know, I always laugh. I only have a like, okay, well, what if the people who have over the past 90 days sent them an email? I promise.
Yeah.
It's
And
just
it's-
a matter of
Because it's a numbers game
we
too.
did it
with
with
one of our new clients, right? It's
did exactly what you said. I
over
think it
Memorial
was
Day,
like
it was 180
the open
days
rates were like
open.
40.
The rest of the list who
and
haven't
then
opened,
1%.
the open rates were like,
right?
so
what
what
does
does
it
it
matter?
40%,
40%.
people are seeing it.
More
on the
people
other
to get
side.
rid of them.
So
Let
what's
them
the
go.
difference? Or figure out why they're on your list. Payments.com/uncensored. Attention e-commerce founders, entrepreneurs, side hustlers, marketers, and growth hackers. If you're working
Not
around
done
the
this,
clock
but
to
I've seen
build your
people like
dream
say, I'm
e-commerce
gonna
business, you
remove
need an
you.
e-commerce
You don't
marketing
seem like you're
platform that
interested.
works
Stay on.
just as hard as you do.
I mean, there
That
are
means you need
ways,
Klaviyo.
but arching
With Klaviyo, you'll delight
is that,
customers and
look,
drive revenue at the
list,
same time.
a list
With
of on your
personalized
list,
email and SMS marketing campaigns, you can
client
design
or
and send in
customer
minutes.
list.
For more,
A lot of
visit
people talking about
klaviyo.com/uncensored. That's
and it's because
KLAVIYO.com
buyers tend to buy.
/uncensored.